The Today weather alert. Parts of Queensland remain on edge with 2 emergency flood warnings in place after days of thunderstorms and heavy rain. It comes as the Ivanhoe Dam continues to spill. Let's go live to Today Queensland reporter Andrea Crothers. Andrea, good morning. More flood warnings have been issued.
Yeah, good morning, Sam. In just the last hour or so, an emergency alert watch and act issued for John Dowley on the Western Downs. It adds to the one already in place for the South Burnett region, that is around Kingaroy. This is after intense rainfall leading to flash flooding. Residents in both those areas urged not to drive unless absolutely necessary. Around a dozen major and minor flood warnings remain in place around Queensland, all the way from the north down to the southwest, including places in the southeast like the Logan River. There were 145 call-outs to the SES in the last 24 hours. Most of that, I've been told, is in the southeast and has been for things like tarping because of that rain. Of course, many roads remain cut off this morning. Now, people have been told, as I said, to drive only if absolutely necessary, and also to keep alert of those watch and acts all across the areas on the BOM website. Sam.
OK, thanks, Andrea.
Former broadcaster Alan Jones is facing new charges this morning after a chaotic court appearance in Sydney. The 83-year-old was heckled as he arrived for his court appearance, where he was accused of indecent assault and sexual touching over 2 decades. But the former radio host maintained his innocence as he fronted the media.
Firstly, let me say this. I am certainly not guilty. I want you to understand this. These allegations are all either baseless or they distort the truth. I have never indecently assaulted these people.
Alan Jones will plead not guilty to a total of 34 charges.
Foreign Minister Penny Wong is visiting Ukraine's capital today, announcing that Australia's embassy in Kyiv will reopen next month. Let's go live to Nine's Europe correspondent Hannah Sinclair. Hannah, this comes nearly 3 years after the embassy closed its doors.
Good morning, Isa. Yeah, that's right. Shortly after Russia's invasion in 2022, the previous Australian government evacuated our embassy staff and relocated them to temporary offices in Poland. But today, Foreign Minister Penny Wong announced that the Australian ambassador to Ukraine, Paul Lehman, will be based in Kyiv from next month. Senator Wong says the embassy will become fully operational again in the coming months. She also announced more financial help for Ukraine, another $66 million towards reconstruction and recovery efforts, and $10 million to help Ukrainians access heat and electricity. Take a look.
We're opening the embassy as a demonstration of our unwavering support for the people of Ukraine. My visit here comes at a critical time in this conflict. We want Ukraine to be able to end this war on its own terms.
The minister's visit comes as Russia reveals it's detained a suspect over the killing of a top general in Moscow, Igor Kirillov, who was under sanctions from several countries and accused of directing the use of banned chemical weapons, was killed by a bomb hidden in a scooter outside his apartment building. Russia says the suspect's an Uzbek citizen who was recruited by Ukrainian intelligence services, and he claims he was offered a $100,000 reward and the chance to relocate to a European Union country if he planted and detonated the bomb and also put a live camera at the site. Isa?
Hannah, thank you. Victoria will today announce its first female treasurer as the state faces a battle to tackle the biggest debt in the country. Live now to 9 Melbourne reporter Mark Santomartino. Mark, Jacqueline Symes will take on the reins.
Victoria is pretty deep in the red, Isa. We have more debt than any other state or territory in the country, $133 billion right now, tipped to be $187 billion by 2028. That is the mountain that Jacqueline Symes will have to climb as Victoria's first female treasurer. She's held a number of senior portfolios since she was elected in 2014 and is widely considered to be one of the most competent members of the Allen ministry. Of course, she's led the conversation on difficult topics like raise the age, as well as Victoria's bail law reform since she was named Attorney General. She's also the leader in the upper house, and now she has been tapped on the shoulder to be Treasurer. Of course, this has all been sparked by the fact that Tim Pallas, our Treasurer of 10 years, decided to resign from politics earlier this week. This change is just one of many that is tipped as part of a broader cabinet reshuffle. So a little bit later today, not only are we expecting Jacqueline Symes to be sworn in, as well as Nick Stakos, a new member of the ministry, but we're assuming that a few more portfolios will change hands a little bit later at Government House. Is there?
Lots of change in Melbourne today. Mark, thank you. To news just in, a man has been shot in Melbourne's north. Police were called to Pascoe Vale just before 10 o'clock last night after reports of shots fired, with neighbours seeing the victim leaving the area. Later, he was found in hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Queensland Police are hunting a teenager who was arrested and charged over the 2022 death of a man over a dozen new offences. Michael Warburton, a 59-year-old motorcyclist, died in hospital after a crash involving a stolen car, allegedly driven by the 17-year-old. Today, the teen is wanted on at least 12 offences in areas including Brisbane City, Barden and Wynnum. The parents of a 16-year-old girl killed in Melbourne when a drunk and drugged driver ran a red light have told 9 News his sentence is not enough. Gulat Ahmed was more than 60 kilometres an hour over the speed limit when he crashed into the Osbornes last year before Catherine died 3 days later. Ahmed, who has an extensive criminal and driving history, will spend 14 years behind bars. An Australian plane carrying aid and rescue personnel is taken off from Queensland to help in the relief effort in Vanuatu after the island was struck by a magnitude 7.3 earthquake that killed 14 people.
The city is completely out of electricity, it's completely out of water.
We know that the hospital is overrun with casualties being brought in.
Widespread damage to telecommunications and other infrastructure in the island nation is making rescue efforts more difficult. Well, the 15-year-old boy has been charged after flying and crashing his mother's Hyundai SUV into a Queensland vape store. In Mount Gravatt East, baristas were preparing for their morning coffee rush just before 6, but nothing could have prepared them for what happened next.
We're very fortunate that no one's been injured in this incident.
Wow, the teen has been charged with willful damage, unlawful use of a motor vehicle and unlicensed driving. He'll be in court in January. The author behind the best-selling Tomorrow series of books, John Marsden, has died at the age of 74. The books, which sold millions of copies and sparked a movie and television series, were just some of the over 40 published from the award-winning author.